Today, we are diving into a really powerful idea. What if success isn't something you have to chase, but something you can actually attract? We're going to break down how you can shift your entire mindset from this exhausting pursuit to basically becoming a magnet for the opportunities you really deserve. I mean, you've seen it, right? We all know that one person who just seems to have things fall into place. They're like a magnet for big wins. Meanwhile, so many other people are just grinding, working so hard just to stay afloat. It really feels like those other folks know some kind of secret. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that secret. Okay, so let's get into this fundamental shift in thinking. On one side, you've got the chase. That's all about focusing on the external stuff. And let's be honest, it is absolutely exhausting. But on the other side, attracting success, well, that's an internal game. It's about who you are becoming, which makes success feel less like a hunt and more like an inevitable outcome. And this brings us right to the core idea for this entire explainer, the mindset magnet. Here's the principle in a nutshell. Success isn't something you go out and find, it's something you attract by the person you become. Your resilience, your character, they create this kind of magnetic field. So how does that actually work? Let's get into the science of it. So first up, let's talk about the brain's built-in success filter. And no, this isn't about wishful thinking or magic. This is about understanding how your own internal wiring literally changes what you're able to see in the world, and how that, in turn, attracts opportunity right to you. So the key player here is a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, or you can just call it the RAS. Now think of your RAS as your brain's personal bouncer or gatekeeper. It is getting flooded with millions of bits of information every single second, and its job is to filter all that noise and only let through what you've told it is important. You know how it works. You decide you want a red car, and suddenly you see red cars everywhere. The world didn't change, you just gave your RAS new marching orders. Now, here is where it gets really interesting. That exact same system, the RAS, it works completely differently depending on your mindset. If you're in an unresilient state of mind, your RAS is programmed to look for threats. It scans for excuses, for reasons to quit. It literally just sees walls and dead ends. But when you build resilience, you hardwire that same exact filter for opportunity. It starts scanning for solutions, for a way through, and it sees hidden connections that everyone else is missing. And the best part is, you can actively recalibrate this mental lens of yours. This isn't something you're just born with. It's a trainable neurobiological process. So when you face a setback, instead of just shutting down, you can practice what's called cognitive reframing, actively looking for the lesson or the opportunity. And when you do that over and over, you literally retrain your brain, hardwiring its filter to spot possibilities where it used to just see problems. So, where does the energy to power this whole magnet actually come from? Well, that brings us to our next section, the alchemy of hardship. This is all about seeing challenges not as things you have to suffer through, but as the very power source that charges your magnet. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? If you look back through history, you see this pattern again and again. The biggest, most massive successes, they often rise directly from the most profound difficulties. It turns out pressure doesn't just make diamonds in geology. It does the same thing in life and in business. There's actually a fantastic modern term for this: anti-fragility. See, this isn't just about being tough and resisting a shock. It's about being the kind of person or system that actually gets stronger because of shocks and chaos. Think about lifting weights. You're literally creating tiny shocks in your muscles, and what happens? They grow back stronger. Anti-fragility is taking that exact principle and applying it to your whole life. You don't just bounce back, you bounce back better. So what does being anti-fragile actually look like? Well, it means you start to embrace a little chaos instead of running from it. It means you find a meaning, even in suffering. And through that, you develop this indestructible internal certainty that no outside event can shake. And when you do that, you become a beacon of stability and strength. And in a chaotic world, believe me, that kind of stability is incredibly magnetic. The right people and opportunities are just naturally drawn to it. Okay, so we've talked about the internal mindset and where it gets its power. But how does any of this translate into the real world? And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle: attraction through active persistence. This is all about generating the current that actually makes the magnet work. In physics, right, a magnetic field needs a constant flow of energy, an electrical current. Well, in the world of success, that current is what we call active persistence. Every single time you push through a rejection, every time you get back up from a loss, you're not just surviving, you're actually increasing your value. A no just gave you critical feedback. A failure just built your reputation for being tenacious. You're generating energy, and you're becoming more valuable in the process. So let's talk about your limits for a second. You know that moment, the one where your brain is absolutely screaming at you to stop, telling you you're done, you're exhausted, you can't possibly go any further? What if I told you that in that exact moment, you've only used about this much of your true capacity? Research actually suggests you're only at about 40% of what you're truly capable of. You have so much more in the tank than your brain wants you to believe. So why on earth does our brain do this to us? It's simple, really. It's a survival mechanism. It's like an overprotective parent, just designed to keep you safe and comfortable. But here's the thing you have to remember. All of your growth, everything you want, your entire potential, it all lives just on the other side of that comfort zone. Real mental toughness is just the art of learning to override that safety switch. And this all leads to a really powerful choice that every single one of us has to make. Look, life is going to be hard one way or another. You can choose the heart of discipline, which, yeah, it's tough, but it's a temporary payment that leads to growth and strength. Or you can choose the heart of regret, which is a permanent debt that only leads to stagnation. You have to consciously choose your heart. So, to bring this all home, this whole thing isn't about finding some secret formula out there in the world. It's about building an internal one. It's about becoming that beacon of stability and strength in a world that is always changing. It's about becoming the kind of person that success, opportunity, and the right people simply cannot help but find. And I just want to leave you with this one final thought. Think about it. Your track record for getting through tough times is literally perfect. You have survived 100% of your worst days so far. So, as you face whatever challenge is next for you, just ask yourself, what really makes this one any different? You are built for this.